hello is gonna join us this afternoon. Hello, hello. Hello, who is there? Hello, who is there? Good afternoon. Is somebody going to say something or write something? Hello, Paul. Good afternoon. How are you? It's probably good morning still where you are, Paul. But I'm saying good afternoon because we are in Kiev. So welcome. Paul, you're the only one that I can see that is writing something. No, not writing, that just said joined. But I know other people are online. So guys, say hello. Let me know who is there. But if not, at least do the honors and share, please. Because we have got our family with us today for this first interview of this month. Guys, it is 1st of June. I'm really excited. It's a new month. New month means new things, new beginning. I'm excited about that. I hope you two are. But today, the first person that we've got for interview is our one and only Mrs. I would wait for her to introduce herself. So I'll let her do the honors of the introduction. So I'm going to turn my camera to her now. So guys, as you're coming in, please don't forget to share, and also invite your friends. You know, this interview is over the last few days. It's just been so great. I've learned so much, and I'm sure that you have, not just about the individual that I'm interviewing, but also about Dr. Sunday. And that is never a dull moment, as you all know. It's never a dull moment with Dr. Sunday. It's never a dull moment with DSA family. It's never a dull moment here in Kiev. So guys, please do the honors and share. And also as you share, invite your friends. So thank you. I'm going to turn my camera now for you to say hello to our guest of honor. It's not really a guest because she's family. So I'm going to turn my camera to Mrs. Hello, good afternoon, Ma. How are you?
I am wonderful. Good afternoon.
Good.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you. I'm going to be looking at your comments, and I hope that today you will be inspired on how I've been inspired by Pastor Sunday and the DSA family. So I'm happy to be the first one, 1st of June, to be interviewed by our one and only Maiwa, Lady Made of Steel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma. I am excited. Guys, if you don't know who Mrs. S is, or I would say Mrs. Sorunke, then let me introduce her again. She is our Carol Wise's mom. You all know Carol Wise. Even if you don't know her mom, you know Carol Wise. So I'm now introducing you also to her mom. And I'm really excited because Carol Wise came from her. So you can imagine Carol Wise and mom. So here we are. We're going to have a fantastic afternoon with her right now. So I'm going to start with my interview. The normal introduction, Ma. I just want you to introduce yourself again. You know, you've told us what your name is, but just tell us a little bit more about yourself, about your family. I think people would like to know that.
Thank you. As she has just said, Maiwa, I am the mother of who now is called Carol Wise. I also have a son. You haven't seen him yet, but you will see him soon. And I am married to Dr. Lola Sorunke. And a little bit about me. Yes, I am a born-again Christian. I've experienced walking with God and loving Him and wanting to do what His will is for my life. I enjoy lots of things. If you're curious about what are my hobbies, I really enjoy reading. I enjoy writing plays. I enjoy dancing before the Lord. I enjoy company of people. I enjoy listening to people's testimonies or anything about their lives. And I'm a people person. I'm more of a quiet kind of people person, but I do lighten up as I enjoy people. So basically, that's me.
Okay. That's great. We know that Mrs. Sorunke is Caroline's mom. Also have a son that we're going to meet soon. I can't wait to meet him. I don't know his name, and he's Jonathan. Okay, Jonathan Sorunke. I can't wait to meet you. And she's married to Dr. Lola Sorunke. You've met him, but maybe not formally in an interview. Next, it was here, but he had to go back to California. So, tell us a little bit more about where you come from, and then move on to how you came in contact with Dr. Sunday Adelaja, or Dr. Sunday Adelaja's teaching.
Where I come from, usually I have a kind of, I used to answer that question right on spot. Oh, I'm from here. As years have gone by, my daughter has been observing the way I answer that question, where am I from? And she goes, Mom, that's not fair. You just tell people straight up, you're from here. But there's more about you, Mom. You need to share. It's not just that you're just from here. So I will share a little bit with you. I was born in England. I was born in Islington, it is called. And I grew up in England for almost 12 years. And after that, my parents took me to Nigeria, where I did high school, and I was in Nigeria for another 5+ years. And when I finished high school, I headed over to the United States, where I have been ever since. So to be honest with you, I wouldn't pick one of those countries and say that's where I'm from. I believe I'm from all of them. I am more a global person, because I have gained so much from the different cultures that I have spent a length of time in. And it has helped me, all the different cultures and things I've gathered from these different places have helped me to be who I am. So I would say that I'm global. My origin, of course, is Nigeria, where my parents are from, and I love Nigeria. But I was born in England, and most of my core values in my early life was from the English culture. And then from there, I moved to Nigeria. I moved from England to Nigeria, where I got really, I just admire the people in Nigeria. I just admire the accomplishments, the looking ahead and looking forward and believing that they can do things that they really wanted to do. I just admire that kind of attitude. And then from Nigeria, I went to the United States of America, where you learn to be independent, you learn to think for yourself, you learn to take charge of your life, you learn strategies and systems. And so all of that together makes me who I am. So you'll see different parts of me as I express myself on this interview. Now, how did I meet Pastor Sunday Adelaja? Now call him Dr. Sunday Adelaja. Well, you see, I always had a curious mind, and I happened to walk into a Christian bookstore, and I saw a magazine, Christian magazine, that said that, why do Nigerians have the largest churches? And this magazine, I believe, must have been published about between 12 years ago, around that time. And I picked the magazine, and I just summarized in my head. I thought, well, of course, we have a large population. It wouldn't be impossible that we have the largest churches in the world. But actually, when I read the magazines, it was actually about African pastors all over the world, not even Africa, that were establishing large churches like in Europe and so on and so forth, really, really big churches. And it was a very interesting article. It was so informationary that I said to myself, wow, I've never heard of these pastors before. Who are they? And so as I was going through the bookstore, I saw one of the pastor's books. It was Pastor Sunday Adelaja's book. And the book was money won't make you rich. And when I saw that topic, I said, you know what? I've always felt that way, but I don't have anything to back that kind of thought up with. And so I bought his book and I started reading, and I realized, wow, this information, I've never heard of it. This is amazing. So as I read the book, I began to look for him on the internet. And to my surprise, I saw that he had about 250 sermons on the internet. And I decided to start going through these sermons. When I got to the sermons, I noticed that it was mainly in Russian. And I was like, oh, and then later on I realized, oh, there is translation. So I would spend hours and hours listening to Pastor Sunday. And I would say, oh my gosh, I was just being renewed in my mind, in my heart, in my relationship with God. I was beginning to understand what the kingdom coming, what it really meant, the establishment of the kingdom of God, what our responsibility was as children of God. So I would listen to Pastor Sundays for hours and hours in the day. And I thought that was just the end. I was just going to listen to his sermons. That was going to be it. Until years later, I realized that he had more books. And then as time went on, I realized that, oh, he has lots of things on YouTube. And when I was looking at YouTube, I saw there's an interview that was done by a Nigerian journalist about Pastor Sunday. I think there were about maybe 40-something interviews, if not more, on YouTube. And through that interview, the series of interviews, I began to learn more about Pastor Sunday's background, who he was, what he has accomplished. It was just mind-blowing that, the church, the body of Christ, is not just to sit in the church. Yes, we can be in the church and learn many, many principles that we need to learn as Christians. But we actually are supposed to be going out of the church and spreading this news and actually giving up our places so new people can come in, get fed, and go out into the world, go out to where people had needs. And I was just excited to know that the ministry of Christianity doesn't end in the church, but it actually starts outside the church. And he had all the principles to prove from the scriptures that this is how we are to live as Christians. And so that's how I started this relationship of knowing about Pastor Sunday. Many years after that, I found Pastor Sunday now answering questions. And so I began to listen to that. And then there was a request made one day where he said, well, I need people to help. Anybody who wants to help the Embassy of God, please write, please this, that. And I sat there and I said to myself, I don't know how I can help. I wonder if I can help, but I will write and, volunteer whatever it is that I have that I can help. And so I wrote Pastor Sunday, and it happened to be on a Sunday when we were going to church. And I just wrote something. And before we could just head out to go to church, there was a reply. And the reply was like, wow, can I talk to you now? And I just laughed. And I told my husband, I said, oh, looks like an imposter has gotten my email. I said, they replied so quickly. And so my husband said, well, let's go to church. When we come back, we'll come deal with it. So we went to church, came back. And there was another one said, did I lose you already? Where are you? And I was like, wow, is this really Pastor Sunday? And so he told us, get on Skype and so we can talk. And got on Skype. And who did I see? I saw Pastor Sunday. And he was just laughing. For you that know Pastor Sunday, he has this big laughter that is infectious. And then he was laughing and he said, I know your husband. He must be an Ijebu man. And I was laughing back. I said, Pastor Sunday, no, I am the Ijebu woman. My husband is not Ijebu. And from that moment on, we started to talk to Pastor Sunday. The first conversation with Pastor Sunday lasted 45 minutes. This was after church. By evening time, 9 p.m., around that time, he called back again. And he had his daughter with him, Pearl. And we were just having this conversation as if we had known each other. And that's how the relationship with Pastor Sunday began. And that just happened about a year ago.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. I was going to ask you was dates and time, because you were telling us this story, which is really fascinating, and there was no dates behind them. So as soon as you're ending this, you said that was about a year ago. So you just put a date on in everything. But I want to go back to when you saw the book, because that's an interesting, it's an interesting journey that you had. You were in this pastor conference, as you said,
Yes.
or a conference. It's not a pastor conference. And you saw a book or an article about why Nigerian churches have the largest congregation.
Yes.
And you wanted to read that, and then you found other books. Yes. And amongst those books, you found the book, Money Won't Make You Rich. Yes. And you know, one really interesting thing that you said about that is that you always had that feeling that money would make you rich, yes, but you didn't know how to articulate it or have evidence to back that up. But you knew that money really wouldn't make you rich. Yes. I would like you to say a little bit more about that. And secondly, I would also like if you would just back up the information with dates. The reason I want dates is because there will be other people that are going through the same journey like you right now. Yes. And it would be nice to know how long it took you from one time to the other to develop into where you are now. You're in Dr. Sunday Adelaja's home in Kyiv, Ukraine. And I will go on to ask more questions about being in his home, but I would like the dates. I would also like the information about money would make you rich. And you said you felt like that, but how were you feeling like that? What was the feeling that you were feeling? What was the substance of those feelings? If you could explain, please.
Wonderful. So, meeting Pastor Sunday for the first time from that magazine was about 12 years. Mm-hmm. Getting the book probably was about a year, let's say 11 years is when I got, I think about 11 years or so when I got that book, Money Won't Make You Rich. And then hooking up with Pastor Sunday right now with one-on-one is just 1 year, about 1 year ago. So it's a stretch of time. Now, if you want me to talk more about the impact of the book Money Won't Make You Rich, I will start off just like you had requested, Maiwa, by talking about how I had this feeling that money will not make you rich. There's a lot of things that go on there. But one of the things that helped me know that money won't make you rich is a book that I read about. It's called Pilgrim's Journey. And I also have read many articles of missionaries that have taken off to do the work of God and literally didn't have any money. But they never went hungry. They were never naked. There were people that had money, that understood their mission and provided. Even if we go to the Bible, we'll see the same thing there, that you would see groups of people that helped some of the disciples, the apostles, to do what they needed to do by donating to them their needs. So it wasn't that that particular person had the money, but there were deposits of people who had it, and they used it to help these people be able to accomplish and have food, clothing, and other things that require money for them. And I believe that even today, the same kind of process is happening. So the question becomes, what is rich? What is rich to you? What is rich to me? That becomes the big question. For me, being rich meant that everything that I needed would be provided. Now I'm going to tell you a true life story. I have a sister that we grew up together. She wanted to go to medical school, and the money she was getting for scholarship was not going to help her get to medical school. But we had a prayer agreement that if she was going to medical school, she was going to medical school. And how it was going to happen, we didn't know. Well, anyway, she got admitted by this school. It's a well-known school. Back then, they had a medical school, Oral Roberts University. She got admitted to the school, and she went for the interview. And now they wrote her and told her how much the school fee was. We had no money. There was no, There was no way that we had that kind of money to help her go to school. And so she wrote them back and said, thank you very much for the admission, but I don't have the money to go to the school. They told her to come anyway. And so she went. When she got to the school and she was going to pay for this, her housing and all of this, they told her, there is a missionary, somebody, till this day she doesn't know who the person is, paid her school fee from the beginning to the end.
Wow.
And so that tells me that you necessarily don't have to have money. There's nothing wrong with having money. But you don't necessarily have to wait for money to move on with your life. If you don't have the money with you, it doesn't mean that the money is not out there for your mission, for your calling. So here she was. Now, I'll tell you the fantastic thing about her story. There was a period of time, some of you would know, that Oral Roberts University went into some kind of controversial issue where the medical school was closed down. My friend had 1 year to go. So she moved from Oral Roberts, Oklahoma, to Virginia. I believe that's where she got her admission in the next school. And of course, that wasn't a Christian school. It was a regular university. And, how would you go there with a story that you don't have money to do your 1 year? I don't think that was happening. But do you know what happened? When she went again now to even have that discussion, they told her, whoever's been paying is paying again. And so inside me, from many other examples, I felt like, you know what? Whatever we want to do, if it concerns money, is there. We don't have to wait to be rich before we can get the money that we need to do what we need to do. We just need to move on with our calling, and whatever God has to help us money-wise will come. If it doesn't come within us, He has placed certain people over the place that will see you and say, wow, this is something that I want to support. So when I read his book and realized that, you know what? It is not having the money that's making you rich, but I've realized now what makes you rich is moving with your calling, letting the supply come, because your calling at the end of the day is to reach out and to help people. When you help people, actually, that's the way you become rich. You're rich in essence. The quality is just like Pastor Sunday. I mean, the people that he knows alone, you can put him on a pedestal that he's rich. Apart from him, when it comes to currency, he is. But I'm just saying that just the people around him is a sign that you're rich, So those are some of the things that struck me, about that statement.
That is really comprehensive. Thank you so much for the answers that you've given and the account that you gave. I know it's something to do with a topic that is really close to your heart, and I'm looking forward to the day that you're going to start your broadcast daily or monthly or weekly. I know it's coming and I'm excited about that. So this is already a snippet of what to look forward to, guys. So Mrs. Sorunke, I know, so I'm just telling you, this is like insider details. I'm looking forward to it because you've seen what she's given already on money will make you rich. It's just one sentence, one question, and the details that we received from that, it was actually informative and knowledge that she is within, that she's sharing with everyone. So fantastic, thank you. So let's move on to your encountering Dr. Sunday and in the last year. And I just really want to know what happened in the last year since you've known Dr. Sunday, because you said this is about a year ago. What happened and the sequence of events since then.
Thank you very much. Well, of course, before I had this one-on-one encounter with Pastor Sunday, what had been going on before that time? Well, I happened to be going to a church which is mission-oriented. So members that usually go to that church, you could see them a few months and then later you won't see them. It's because they went on mission. work. And usually what the church does is they provide you with the tools that you need in mission fields. You know, the sensitivity to the Holy Spirit to be able to cater to people who are in need, to be really in tune with God, so that you can really see and understand the place that you're about to enter, what kind of strongholds are there, and how to work as a body of Christ to override those strongholds so that you can deliver the word of God, and to have an expectation that God is able to do these things through us to the glory and the honor of his name, and to be able to actually bring back the good news to us who are in the church, that this is what God has done on our trip to, maybe it was the Philippines, they went, or Hawaii, or Africa. So we hear a lot of testimonies of how God uses missionaries on the field. But what's very unique about the church is that some of these missionaries are not your typical missionaries that have gone to school to study missionary work. These are people who had been called maybe in their prayer time. I met a lady, she's a very simple lady, and she saw me dress up in Nigeria attire, and she was telling me about her missionary journey in Nigeria. How did she get on that journey? She was praying and God mentioned Nigeria and said, that's the place you need to go. And before she knew it, she was meeting Nigerians. Before she knew it, she had a direction and she had the way to move forward. And she gave me detail of everything that happened in Nigeria. And so now she has this heart to cry out for Nigeria on a daily basis. She follows Nigeria very carefully so she can pray. But she's had the experience of what God had done with her in Nigeria. So that's the kind of church that I was going to. We're getting all this kind of information. And of course, me and my husband were doing our own little missionary work. We believed in building up business people for Christ. As we build people in business, we began to see that not only business was a concern, but also their state with God. And how did they see their business? How can you have a righteous business? How can you have a balanced business where the scale is balanced, where there is no trying to just dupe people and just take advantage of them financially, that kind of thing. So those were the kind of values that we were adding to our system. We explained to them how we do business, and we're upfront. They were also upfront with us, and so on and so forth. So we were doing it. I would say we were doing a small little thing that we were doing. But we were not satisfied. When we sit down in church, it was a great church. Believe it or not, it was what you would call a Caucasian, white church. You would call it white church. Very casual. You could drink coffee in the church service. I mean, we're talking about California. The dynamics in California are a little bit different. So you see a lot of liberty behaviors going on. But we would sit down there and say to ourselves, me and my husband would say to ourselves that, there has to be more. We felt like we were not doing the kingdom work. We were not out of our church, as beautiful as it was in our church. And we were traveling the world. But yet, somehow, the kingdom was not, we didn't feel like we were carrying enough of the kingdom principles to do our work. And we were not really getting kingdom principle teachings that we needed to know that everywhere we go, not just traveling to another country, is when the Spirit of God moves. But when we move out of the church into the parking lot, go to get our groceries, and so on and so forth, the Spirit of God still moves. So we realized that we needed more, but we didn't know what to do. So we just stayed where we were. But when we met Pastor Sunday and we talked with him, the first thing that Pastor Sunday told us, he was happy because he saw that we had a true desire to want to walk in the ways of God and deliver effectively what our calling was. So he gave us certain books to read. He wanted us to read. And those books that we read, Kingdom Driven Life was one of the books, that we read. Miles Monroe, the book that he had written about his death, that shocked most of the Christian church, that how could such a wonderful man and his wife and children all die, answering those kind of questions. So those were the kind of books that he first gave us to read. And I tell you, me and my husband would sit down and read those books, discuss about the books, and it was already beginning to change our mood. We were now back excited again to deliver to everybody the true gospel, whether it be in counsel, whether it be in talk, whatever we were doing. And in our practice, my husband had a dental practice, and the news was so good that my husband said, okay, guess what? Even my patients are going to listen to this. And so we began to share Pastor Sunday's sermons and his teachings and his answering questions with our patients and with all our friends many different ways. We were seeing changes in our lives. Then, before we knew it, we were now doing master plans. We were now strategizing. How are we going to take over the world for Christ? How are we going to take over our neighborhood for Christ? There was strategy now beginning to form, and we begin to have direction. And so really, our whole lives really turned around. And my husband said, I am so happy. Pastor Sunday is my spiritual brother. Because I've had these things, and I've been the odd one out, talking against many things that is happening with our congregation, with the church, but people don't understand him. They think something is the matter with him. He is so glad that he has somebody that is even more vast in this area, that can even sharpen his own tools, fine-tune them, so he can use them in the right order to bring the kingdom to our friends, family, neighborhoods, and the world. And that was a big change in our Christian walk.
Hey, that was a very interesting account of everything that's happened in the last year and the changes in Mrs. Sorunke's Christian walk. I particularly like the story about the church that you were going is a missionary church. That was an interesting church. You drink coffee and all that. Yeah, that's quite interesting. But right now, I really do want to know about your relationship with Dr. Sunday. You mentioned when you first met him. Where did he give you the books? You didn't say, but you here in Ukraine. Did he send you the books to read? You mentioned the books, Kingdom, the book by Miles Monroe, the Kingdom. I think we mentioned. Yes, Kingdom Driven Life. You also mentioned other books. But were you here? How did you come here? What happened? It's only a year ago. So I really do want to know about your relationship with him. How that relationship has evolved in the last year.
Wonderful question. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, all this happened last year, February.
Okay.
Last year, February. Last year, February is when we got the books. On one of our conversations, actually at that point, when I was talking with Pastor Sunday in February, he called consistently. And, at a point I said to myself, you know what? I have a mentor with Pastor Sunday, whether I like it or not, because he's asking me direct questions. And for some of us that already know Pastor Sunday, he's going to ask you these mind-boggling questions that you've not been thinking of at all. So you find yourself like, oh my gosh, how do I answer this? And so what I knew, every time he called, I said, I better be ready. So I would take notes. If I have questions, I have questions. If something new had happened to me, I'll write it down. So that when he calls, I just grab my book and I just speak. And I found out that the relationship that I'm having with Pastor Sunday, and that was starting in March, around February, March, I began to see that it was a mentorship relationship I was having with Pastor Sunday. And I'm so glad that he took it on. He took it on to mentor me. I'm very grateful. Thank you very much, Pastor Sunday. It was done in such love and sincerity and not condemnation. If you mention a word of even trying to condemn yourself, he wouldn't even tolerate it. He will quickly, switch it and let you know that, that's not the atmosphere that we are in here. The atmosphere we are in here is growth, is knowledge, so that you can be bold and you can move forward in your calling. So the relationship was him being a mentor. Now, how did we come to Ukraine? We came to Ukraine because one of his best friends was our dear friend. And when his friend came in town, was just the time we were talking with Pastor Sunday, and Pastor Sunday put him on the line, and his best friend, Brother Moses, said, "Oh yeah, I know the Sorunkes. We used to talk together on the table about the future, how we're going to do this in Nigeria, how we're going to do that. I know them. You got the right people. There's no problem. I know them." We were like, wow. So now we found out that in some way we are now joined into Pastor Sunday's calling and his walk. And he said to us, "I would like you both to come on down to Ukraine. We are having, I believe it was the 22nd anniversary for the church. I would love to have you come for," I think he said, "come for a couple of weeks." I think we ended up being here more than a couple of weeks. So it was an invitation from Pastor Sunday, and I really thank God that he invited us, because I'm really not the kind of person that I just want to go see the big minister, or I'm not a person like that. I will receive the word that they are giving as I'm hearing it, but I'm not necessarily that I have to go see. But when he invited us, I thought, wow, there is something important. My husband said there is. And so that's how we planned by, I think it was around that March, if I'm not mistaken, during the anniversary time, that we headed down to Ukraine. Okay. Yes.
Okay, you're really giving comprehensive answers, so thank you very much for that, because I don't have to probe you too much on how everything started. When you gave the account of how you came here the first time in March, you gave real detail of how the person that you knew, that also knew Dr. Sunday, and recommended you, or maybe not recommended, but just said, "You're great people. The Sorunkes are great people." So thank you so much for that. So from March, where I'm really trying to get to, maybe I should just tell you where I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get to the point where you how many times have you been here to Ukraine, and also the point where your daughter, Carol Weiss, as you know, is now living here. It started with 6 months. I'm going to stay here for 6 months, and now I know that she's extended it as well. Not that I just want to talk about Caroline, but I want to talk about that, being her mother. How was the involvement? What was your influence on that? And how did that come about? So I just want that story, because not many people that will sit here for interview will have that similar story. Your daughter is here and living here. So I would just like a little bit more about your 1 year relationship, your relationship in the last year with Dr. Sunday, please.
Thank you very much for the question. Well, when Pastor Sunday invited us to come down, it got to a point, I've been listening to Pastor Sunday, but I hadn't really been telling my husband too much about Pastor Sunday, because I didn't want to put my husband off. I didn't want him, because he has a real kind of critical thinking, and he uses it when it comes to religion and pastors and congregation. So I know that he'll try to pick through everything and question everything, and I didn't want him to do that with Pastor Sunday, because I felt that Pastor Sunday was of a different kind of dynamic, and I saw some similarities in the thoughts of Pastor Sunday with my husband, and I felt like they could actually have a good relationship. So I never really too much talked about Pastor Sunday all the years that I was following him, till when I got that response from my email from him. And that's when my husband sort of said, "Oh," because he knows a little bit. But I said, "Oh yeah, when we get back, we'll talk with him." So there was a point as we were preparing to come. My husband said, "You know what? You should go. You should go. He's your mentor. You should go." And I didn't bother to argue about it, because I didn't feel like I needed to argue with him about it. And so after my husband said that, I went to God. I said, "God, you know what? I believe what I'm going to gain if I go to Ukraine, I wouldn't like it that I'd be the only one to hear it. It would only be fair that the two of us hear it with our ears. and the two of us experienced it together. There's no way I can come back, and I haven't even gone, but I had a feeling that there was no way I could come back and tell my husband. In fact, how, the dynamics would be different. Be like, oh yeah, she's a lady, she's gonna say that kind of thing. And I was like, Lord, no, I don't want that. Speak to him, let him come. And so one day my husband just came and said, I got it, we're going. I see what's gonna happen. I was like, yeah. And then I stopped. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Now me and my husband are going. Wonderful, beautiful, great. Then I said, Lord, guess what? We need the next generation to come with us. And the most appropriate person was Caroline. And I said, Lord, if me and my husband go and we experience all this, whatever it is, and we come back and tell Caroline, it would just be like, Mom and Dad just talking, old people, how they talk. I said, hey, God, I don't want that to. Is there a way that Caroline can join us? I would really love it. So therefore, what we are learning together, we're learning as a family. And the next generation is not here saying what their parents said. But now they can say, oh, I experienced it, I was there. Whatever their experience is, whether they felt it was a good experience or not a good experience, at least they know what their parents are experiencing. And so when I told my husband, I said, oh, I'm going to talk to Caroline. Maybe she wants to come. My husband said, good luck, well, go ahead. Try. She's in Hollywood there, Warner Brothers. I mean, really, does she want to give all of that up to go to Ukraine? And so I went ahead and I was talking to Caroline. And I said, Caroline, I said, remember Pastor Sunday that's given me all this homework to do and books to read and all of that? I said, we're actually going to see him. She said, oh, really? That's really good. Finally, you get to meet your mentor, this and that. She was excited in that way. And I said, oh, Caroline, guess what? I said, and I was thinking, I said, wow. I said, maybe you could come if you want to come with us. I was thinking maybe it would be a great experience for you. She says, oh, yeah, I wouldn't mind. I'll go. And she said, I'll just clear my schedule and all the rest of it, and I'll come. I was like, wow. It was like, hallelujah, thank God. And so that's how we took off together to come.
Is this the first time?
First time.
Okay.
First time. And so that's how that happened. And so we came together here first time. And I was watching Caroline. Our first few meetings, which was the HMT, Caroline was engrossed in it, but I noticed right away there was a kind of urgency to learn. I mean, before Pastor Sunday could get in there, some people, my daughter was running out of the room as if something was just to go sit down, ready to listen. I was like, wow. So when we now came back, she returned back to Hollywood. And when she got to Hollywood, due to what she had heard, what she had gained, what she had realized her calling was all about, she saw Hollywood in a different way. She saw what she was doing in a different way. And she was beginning to ask herself the question, what am I doing here? What is my mission here? Who am I? And so on. So now the second trip came in November. We wanted to head on back again here and we called her and she said, I'm willing to go. Her second trip when she came, the dynamics was a little bit different at the HMT. We now had the live show had started. He had started a Facebook Live program and all that. So now, you would sit with him and he would just expose you. And so Caroline was exposed. I think there was it was a family issue discussion or something of that kind. And Caroline spoke. And after the session, when they went back to look at, who was looking, so on, they found out that there was an increase in number. And then they looked at the increase in number and saw that it was both male, female, young, middle age. It was a mixture of people that were responding to Caroline and to the way she was talking and what she was delivering and how it was received with great joy and surprise and amazement. And I think Pastor Sunday probably said, interesting. She was back on several times. So much that at a point, the audience on the Facebook group started saying, you need to have your own show. And Pastor Sunday said, yeah, you need to have your own show. Caroline, when are you going to have your own show? And Caroline had been trying to do her own show. She had a few things going on, but she wasn't satisfied with it. I don't think maybe she felt she was addressing any kind of need. But then when people started requesting that she do a show, now she felt like, wow, I can address some needs, whatever the needs may be, I can. And when she came back with us back to America with us, she began to work on the show that she was going to deliver. Now, Caroline went ahead and we stayed behind. We were just having a little discussion with Pastor Sunday, just on the table here. And we just said to him, by any chance, would you need Caroline? Or what if Caroline could come over and help, since she studied TV, theater, and film? Since she studied that, did he need her for anything to help out? He said, yes. Oh, yes. That would be wonderful. So we said, okay, we'll let her know. So we let Caroline know. We put her on the phone with Pastor Sunday. Pastor Sunday explained to her the importance of being around him, an opportunity that many people would not be able to have, and to help develop what he was creating, Facebook Live, and he was planning a 24-hour TV station, which we have DSA TV station, 24 hours. And so there was an agreement between her and Pastor Sunday. Now, in all of this discussion, I'll let all of you know, there's nothing that we did to push Caroline. We made no demands on her to come travel with us to Ukraine. Nothing. Everything that she does is her decision. She makes up her mind. But what we did was just open up to her that we have found a wonderful treasure that can help us in this, our journey of life. And we just want to make you aware that it's there. If you want to come with us, come. And when she came here, she experienced for herself this wonderful opportunity, learning about the kingdom. And she just took it, ran with it. She stopped working with Warner Brothers. She wrote her letter resigning. She was doing many, many things in the church. She let them know she will be leaving. She had a beautiful roommate that she lived with in her house. Actually, she makes her movies also. And she sort of explained that she was leaving. Caroline literally shut everything down. She shut it all down. And she headed on here to Ukraine by herself, not with us, to come and help with Pastor Sunday. So that's how that happened.
Okay. My story now, because I really wanted to hear that, and also I wanted you guys to also know, knowing that our Carawise mom is the one that I'm interviewing today. I also want us to have a hint of Caroline and her journey, and the mother, Mrs. Lola Sorunke's influence on that. But I'm glad that I asked this question. So let's just talk about this trip now, the trip that you're on, that you came for this Golden Jubilee. I want to ask a little bit more. My question is, how was the Golden Jubilee for you? So straight and direct, how was the Golden Jubilee? You've been here several times now, even while I've been here now in like 4 months. You've been here, I think, twice already. So this Golden Jubilee journey or trip or celebration, how was it for you? What were your observations that you haven't already shared with us?
Wow. When I heard that the celebration was going to be a 3-day celebration, I mean, I felt like it was a whole month celebration before the 3 days. You know, the love that was shown, the expressions of who Pastor Sunday is to us as individuals was just so much. But that 3-day celebration, I have not seen anything like it. And I always tell people, when people are coming to Pastor Sunday, of course you're going to be, let me just use the word, nervous, unsure, wondering if did I make the right decision to come? What if what I saw on Facebook Live, Pastor Sunday, is not what I see when I get there? What if it is a contradiction? You know, that means that if it were a contradiction, if you got here, that means that's a disaster for you, because when you go back, you're just totally broken. So I know all those kinds of feelings are in the head. That, oh my God, is Pastor Sunday really the way that we see him? This a 3-day Jubilee celebration. For us that have been coming, we've already began to understand and grow with Pastor Sunday. On those 3 days, it was like he was times 3 that person. It was like he had even more patience. He wasn't in a hurry for this. Every day he was not in a hurry. And at the same time, he was not wasting our time that we're awaiting him. Do you know what was going on? He was appreciating groups of people, individuals that were bringing offerings. The one that we had here in the house here was an outdoor thing. We had an indoor a little bit, and we also had outdoor. People were coming in groups to bring gifts, and the gifts related to who he was, and not just who he was, but what God is going to be bringing in the future. So it showed me that the people that he has developed in the things of God don't only just see him and what he is doing, but he has allowed them to see the future of what God has planned for this great calling of being a Christian. So his people are we are prepared for the now and what God is going to do in the future. And I saw it as they bring the gifts to him. Could be a baked cake, most beautiful cake you've ever seen in your life. I mean, it was I forgot what they are called, but they are like soldiers, and they are in charge of protecting their borders, and every now and then you'll have some refugees that they need to rescue and out of, the bombs and all of that. Well, some of the leaders came out here, and there's a lot of activity going on over there. And that's when you were saying you're going to Ukraine, people are scared because they're thinking about that side of Ukraine, and they're thinking that we are here, we're involved in that. We're actually not involved in that, but it is happening out there. So some of those soldiers came, those that have been taught of him, those that have learned God from him. Even in the activity that was the bombing, trying to rescue the refugee, all that stuff, they had a flag that everybody would quickly run, sign it, and run back to their station to go and do their work. And then they came, the representatives came and brought this flag in honor of him, to show him. And he would sit patiently, he and his family. Pastor Bosse was present, and the children. And they would sit down patiently, receiving this gift. Not only did they receive the gifts, they were patient to listen to all the appreciations, the testimonies of what God has been doing in their life and how they've been growing. I sat down there and said, really? This is a party we're having here? This is amazing. Groups of women that came to sing, solos. So the mood of the party was so different. It was so calming. It was healing. It was glorious. It was a wow. You mean to tell me this person was from alcoholic street prison to pastor, millionaire businessman? I mean, you're sitting down there saying, what? But in the party, what's going on, it was reminding us of the change that should come to us when we know Christ. We need to hear more of it and use every circumstance as an opportunity to have people express it. So the mood was so calm for me on the first day, just watching the way Pastor Sunday and his family were receiving the gifts and letting the people talk. Everything was just in a calm, beautiful mood. There was tons of food. We even had African food. We even had a Ukrainian that cooked egusi soup. I mean, Ukrainian cooking egusi soup for us. And so everything was going on. If you wanted to eat, you eat. If you wanted to listen to music, you go inside. If you wanted to be out here and look at the people that were coming one after the other with their gifts, telling their testimony, it was there. If you wanted to sit down and talk with people, you would meet new people. Everything was just going on in such a calm, beautiful way. And yet this was a party. So I noticed that. And then on the second day, the same thing. The second day was even more interesting because for people that came from abroad, we really clicked. DSA family, we really, really clicked. You know, that relationship that we have on Facebook, we are bringing it to true life. It's not a fantasy for us. Now, GSA, when we see each other on Facebook Live, we know that we are real people. We know that we have become united because now together we are learning how to be kingdom people. We are learning to love each other without research or, prejudgment of who you are, whatever. We now know we have the same desire to grow in the Lord the right way. So on the second day for me, I was building more relationship with DSA family. We were becoming closer. We were seeing the reason why, what has happened to us. So that brought strength and calm and confidence, joy and happiness. And then on the third day, oh my gosh, there's this huge retreat area, a campground, beautiful. It has homes that you could rent for summertime or anytime. It had apartments. It had a hotel on ground. It had one of the most beautiful spas I've ever seen in my life. On ground, it had places for everyone. It was just a place of celebration. Many parties can go on there at the same time. And Pastor Sunday chose the outdoor where we had this pool in the middle and the tables were all set around. And I tell you, that red carpet, when we came and we saw that red carpet, it was like, wow, and each side of the red carpet, here we all were waiting for the celebrant to come. And of course, you know what happens on the red carpet. Celebrant comes, walk down the red carpet. But as we were waiting, many other things were going on. We were beginning to relate with the Ukrainians. The love between the Ukrainians and us, the DSA family, was incredible. I mean, you would see hands together, skipping, dancing, laughing. It was just incredible. And I was watching how the Ukrainians, when they would play the African music, it's like they knew it. They knew the songs and they would just dance. I found it absolutely amazing. Here we were, Ukrainian, DSA family, together happy. The celebrant is not even around. We're already happy. We're already moving around and all that wonderful thing. And then when he came, the love that he showed to us and his family when they stepped out of the big limousine to come and make sure that they could shake as many hands as possible as they walked down the red carpet, and then to have us together, escort them to, I'm not even going to say high table because it wasn't that high, but it was a beautiful place, to escort them to that, to usher them there, and to have Pastor Sunday come out and just bless us, for coming, appreciating us, was just wonderful. That's just a little bit that I can even tell you.
Wow.
It's different.
Thank you very much. I know, guys, that you have heard so much already about the Golden Jubilee, but there's a lot. I cannot emphasize enough how much we could tell you about Golden Jubilee. But before we end this interview today, I want to ask I'm asking you, I don't know why I keep saying I want to. She's right in front of me. So the question is that, what are you going to take home? What are you going to do differently? Because we've had celebration, we had inspiration, we've had a lot of time with Dr. Sunday, with teachings about various things. We had one last night. We learned so much. So what are you going to take home? What are you going to do differently now when you go back to your home in California? What are your plans for the future? Maybe that's the question I should ask.
That question is what I would call a Pastor Sunday question. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, now that you've heard, you've seen, what is it that you're going to do with it now? And thank you for that question.
Thank you.
I have actually, from the first time that I met with Pastor Sunday, that he's been my mentor, he wrote a book called Regaining Your Lost Years. And I actually went back 16 years to the things that I had started, that I was to deliver, and I didn't. Since I've met Pastor Sunday, I was able to go back. Thank God I had written a lot of things, so I sort of knew a few of the things. But then I realized that even those things I had written back in that time, God has updated it. It's not that same way anymore. Mm-hmm. And so everything I spent time to update. So one of the things that my heart really is the books that he is writing, the principles in that book, the messages in that book, his series that he has done over the time in Facebook Live. What I am working on is ways to get this message out to people. And of course, social media is one of the ways. But then you got to understand that if you're going to be on social media, you should be on it in your way. You be yourself, be how you feel, the way that you express what you understand. Because maybe there are some people out there that are waiting for that kind of expression, that kind of way that you are doing it, and they also will quickly receive the word. What I say is that the principles that Pastor Sunday is teaching us in the many, many books that he has written, I joke with my husband, I say, Pastor Sunday's books need some arms and some legs and a voice. You know, I can hand you Pastor Sunday's book. It doesn't mean that you're going to open it and read it. And maybe if you do, you might not even get the chance to even finish the book. So what do we do? How do we get the principles out to people in the most simplistic, not encroaching much on people's time, but helping them to critically think about issues that we don't see? Just like the one of yesterday that Pastor Sunday did that. You know, for us, like I'm doing a live show right now. What is my expression? Is my expression enough to carry everybody? Is my expression enough to carry men? Is it enough to carry women? Is it enough to carry families? Is it enough to carry atheists or other religions, Muslims, or whatever it is? Can I carry everybody along here? Can I help people to re-reason certain things? And as they re-reason certain things and adopt certain principles and values, then their minds begin to change. Then people want to know, who am I and what am I here for anyway? I want to know and I want to do. And even in finding that aspect, believe it or not, begins an aspect really of seeking God who made us. And so what I have been doing is I've been jogging different ideas on how to get Pastor Sunday's message out, even if somebody doesn't have a book. I have the book means I have the responsibility to get the message out. And so that's what I've been working on. Like Maya said, I am working on it. And one of the key things for me as a person is that I realize that if I am able to plan properly, the planning is the sort of irritating part because you so much want to get your stuff out there. But if you don't have a solid plan, a strategy, a goal like we learned yesterday, that you have to have a focus on a goal that you want to achieve at the end of the whole thing, maybe it won't be so effective. So that is the time that I'm spending, is to put these things together, plan them out well, and then be able to deliver them in different forms. So you will be seeing that soon.
Well, guys, you've heard it here live and direct. DSA TV from Ukraine. We've just spoken to Mrs. Lola Sorunke. So I asked her what would she be taking home from her experience, from her journey, coming here to Ukraine with the Golden Jubilee, spending time with Dr. Sunday, and her response was really, really interesting. And the response were her plans. She's got plans, and at the moment she's putting her plans together. She has passion for the books and Dr. Sunday's messages, and she's putting together plans to push that out there, to push the messages, the information out through books or through teachings. But you would be seeing her on social media, because she also mentioned social media, because I think social media is one of the very, very unique way to get to the masses. You know, you have more opportunity to get to many people. So I'm really excited about that. I know that you guys are very supportive, DSA family, and other people that comes and watch us as well. we welcome you. You are part of the family. So anybody that's watched DSA once, you are a family. If you've watched DSA TV or you've come onto this channel or page and you've gone onto YouTube, Sunday Adelaja Official, we already recognize you as a family member. So obviously, I also expect us to support each other. But thank you so much. You've been so supportive over the last few days on these interviews. I'm coming back again today because I still have more people to interview. I hope I will see you. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn the camera to our family, Mrs. Lola Sorunke, to have the final words before I close. So, thank you very much. Appreciate you from me to you.
Thank you, everybody, for taking out the time to listen to our programs, to watch the interviews, and many other shows that DSA has out there. What I would like to say is that I do not take my encounter with Pastor Sunday for granted. Many of you, for reasons beyond your own circumstance, cannot come here, at least not now. Maybe you will meet him in the mission in Nigeria, but at this point in time, everybody's not able to come out here. So, us that do come out here, I'm telling you, we have a great responsibility to help you understand more the depths of the reason why Pastor Sunday is able to help people transform their lives into kingdom living and be effective on the earth. And that which we learn, we feel responsible to share. For you that are new on this Facebook Live program, keep on coming on. You're going to hear a lot of true life testimonies, principles that will guide you to live a life that is worthwhile, to celebrate that God Himself will reveal Himself to you, and you will understand the reason why He took time to make you and to bring you here. And when you do God's delight, I'm telling you, you feel fulfilled. Even more than having a whole lot of money. Yeah, you can have a whole lot of money. There's no problem. That's part of what God does. But you know what? You would be even more happier because you would look at all the people's lives that you have impacted. You would have a wonderful showing to God that what you've invested in me, I have been able also to invest in others. And that's one of the greatest things that I'm learning from Pastor Sunday. I want to thank Pastor Sunday, Pastor Bosse, their beautiful children, the congregation of the Embassy of God Church, the people of Ukraine, and all the other people that have supported Pastor Sunday all the years, through the ups and through the downs. Thank you very much for doing that, because if you didn't do that, I don't think that I would be here today to be listening to Pastor Sunday. So thank you, all of you. And DSA family, God bless you. Good to see you. I love you. I can't wait till many of you get the chance to meet Pastor Sunday, whether it be here or Nigeria. I just can't wait for you guys to meet him. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I will be seeing you again.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So guys, adios. Thank you very much. We'll see you again soon. Bye.